One day, a butcher, so he sell meat, but there was an accident happened when a dog, the owner is the lawyer, it was unleashed and it ran all the way to the shop of the meat, and then the dog, bite one piece of the meat and ran away. And then in the evening, the butcher came to the lawyer's house and then asked, well, what will happen? Should I ask for the compensation if the dog, stole a piece of meat from my shop? And should I ask the compensation from its owner? And then the lawyer said, yes, you should ask for the compensation. And then the butcher write the receipt and gave the lawyer, your dog, stole the piece of meat from my shop. A week later, and then, one of the note sent to the butcher again. And then in that note, it is written, you owe me $100 because you came for consultation. Nothing on this earth is not completely free. However, we exist because of God's love. God, out of His love, He created freely. And also, because I grown up where, and also, quite a lot of people on this earth grown up where, because of the love of the parents. I would like to honor the mothers, without grumbling, without really, bothering heart. They took care of their babies really well because they love us. In our culture and in Buddhism, and Gautama mentioned, if I'm trying to pay everything back in order what I owe to my mom, I won't be able to pay back at all, even for one breast. That's a kind of a very honorable saying what Gautama mentioned. We will never be able to pay back for their love. They love and they sacrifice a lot of things. If we honor our mother's love and we won't be able to complete all these things, in order to pay back, how about God's love? He loves us so much and we will never be able to pay back. However, today in the gospel, Jesus mentioned, if you love me, just one thing do, in return. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. That's all he asked. And if we kind of reflect deeply as well, he really wants us to keep the commandments because he wants us to unite with him in heaven. What a beautiful, strong statement. What a great invitation for us to do in return. However, in our journey on the way towards holiness, of course, they are full of temptations surrounding us, and we fail. Does this mean that every time we sin, we do not love Jesus? We have to understand, we love Jesus, we love God. However, we have to keep fighting though. Why these things happen? And we have to understand, because we are, caught up with the law of attractions. It is called the law of attractions. God created things so beautifully, and we are caught up. And we forgot to appreciate God's creation. And we forgot to praise, for God's are created so beautifully. Well, that's why St. Ignatius of Loyola, all the other things should be indifferent. Well, Father Tom Cannon, he explained me really well. What does indifference mean? Well, indifference means there should not be any hindrance between our union with God. Well, if, the beautiful clothes, the beautiful car, and new technology, and also the other, interest in medias and so on and so on, if they became kind of the hindrance between our union with God, and then we have to be careful. All these things should be indifference between God and the human. However, we have to appreciate and we have to give thanks to God for all these beautiful, and we have to, enjoy and we have to treasure those as well. Well, John chapter 14, verse 15, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. We cannot have pure love of Jesus and sin in our lives at the same time. Therefore, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24 mention, we cannot be the slave of two masters. We have to be vividly clear about that. We have to love God. Of course, we can love other things, but should not be the hindrance between our two loves. Mother Teresa mentioned, if we have love, there won't be hatred. If we have love, there won't be any other negative things. If we love each other, there won't be war. It is going to be really peaceful. We have to remember that we exist because of love. And I want you to kind of visualize, and I want you to imagine at your house, if the house is filled with love, you will be peaceful, you will be joyful, and all the days of your life is going to be really, really beautiful. Well, moreover, if we fill our society with love, and our society is going to be flourishing, and our society is going to be one family. If our country is filled with love, God's love, and our country is really going to be beautiful. Therefore, today, Jesus' invitation, if you love me, you will keep my commandments, and which is for our own sake. And in the first reading today, Philip listened to God's invitation, and he bring love, and he spread good news, which Jesus has brought for us. And he converted not only, the Jews, but also the Gentiles. And Peter and John heard about the conversion of all those people. Well, in the second reading, they went there, and then they prayed over them, and they tried to fill their heart with the power of the Holy Spirit. Well, the beautiful things happen from love. Therefore, today, let us love one another. Let us keep the commandments and bring love and bring joy to other people, not only in our family, but also towards other people.